Hello, hello, I am Rose Confetti, and today I want to talk about YouTube lore, specifically the YouTube lore that has been dropping over the last couple of years that would have sent 2015 me into a coma, because there has been so many wonderful little juicy bits of gossip about our favourite YouTubers from 2010 that I must share, and I know that some of you haven't been keeping up with it, so consider this your little update. This won't be a full list, nor will we go through all the cancellations, because honestly, they're not fun to discuss, whereas this stuff is like a little gossip treat that I think you're really going to enjoy. Anyway, let's start with something quite recent. We finally got confirmation of Tronnor. If you need a little memory jog, I don't blame you. Tronnor is all about Troye Sivan and Connor Franta. So in around 2014, Troye Sivan's YouTube channel was blowing up. Like, he was collabing with people like Tyler Oakley, Zoella, the rest of the Brit crew, and of course, Connor Franta. Now, Troye is from my hometown, and let me tell you, the jealousy that I had that he was meeting these iconic YouTubers, it was a lot. But also, we loved living vicariously through him and like shipping him with various members of different YouTuber groups. And one of the biggest ships of the time was Troye Sivan and Connor Franta, which I totally get. Connor is delightful, Troye is delightful, it's a great combination. And if you went on Tumblr at the time, honestly, you would think they were a confirmed couple. However, they were not. All we really had was like fan posts and like wishful thinking and daydreaming and gossip and all those kinds of things. So who would have thought in 2025, literally 10 years later, that we would have confirmation of their relationship by Connor Franta himself? And I'm so obsessed with how we got this closure. So there's this picture of Connor Franta, Troye Sivan with Chapel Roan, like really, really early in her career. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Troye Sivan posts this version of the image to his Instagram. Now, it does not take a detective to notice this has been cropped. And to be fair, in the comments, Troye wrote like, "not my crop" or something like that, which I just think is so funny because he knows what the original image was. He would know what he's posting, and the full image is available in lots of places. So this was a very deliberate choice. And this is where it gets juicy. Over on Connor's Instagram, he posts the other half of the photo, which is so funny. And the caption says something like, "my good side." This is where the Tumblr girls can get really excited, because "my good side" is seemingly a reference to Troye's song The Good Side. This is off his 2018 album Bloom. And Troye has said this song is an open letter to an ex-boyfriend. So at this point, we're already getting serious hints to Tronnor being real. But it doesn't end there, because Connor Franta does us all a favor and uploads a 5-minute video to YouTube basically talking about the relationship. I don't think he ever actually says Troye's name, but there's this really sweet moment where he says he's proud of him, and I'm just like, it's so cute. It's like everything we ever dreamed of. Connor says the relationship went for about 2 years and it ended okay, and he's gone on to have a lovely life, which if you follow Connor, you would know that. And yeah, there's just this nice moment where he's kind of talking to Troye through the video, and it is just everything we ever dreamed of. And also, on the topic of Troye Sivan's like YouTube life and reconnecting with that part of him, while I was looking at Instagram for this video, I went on Tyler Oakley's profile. I hadn't checked up on him for a while. Seems like he's doing well on Twitch. Anyway, he had this post where he was being inducted into like a YouTuber Hall of Fame, and Troye left a comment, and just like this acknowledgement of Troye's YouTuber life is so nice to see, because it really feels sometimes like he has shunned it and doesn't talk about it. So the combination of having Tronnor confirmed and seeing a nice little comment from Troye on Tyler Oakley's post, I'm living for it. I love it. And it absolutely would have blown my mind in 2015. Now, while we're on the topic of some of my favorite ships from 2014, it's hard to go past Dan and Phil. If you've not checked in on them for a while, they've actually revamped their whole Dan and Phil Games channel. And the fact that they are using that just as like, let's be real, like a couple channel, would have shattered my brain in 2014. I would have been so delighted, but I just absolutely would not have seen it coming, because first of all, they both weren't out then, and the like level of closeness that they portray on the channel, and the fact that it's not all games, sometimes they're like just chatting to each other and reacting to their own vlogs. It is just lovely. If you're a fan of them 10 years ago, I highly recommend you check out Dan and Phil Games now. Part of their recent revamp was doing their tour, the Terrible Influence tour, which I did go and see, and it was a lot of fun. But my favorite piece of lore about Dan and Phil that dropped in the last couple of years was about their apartment. So when they lived in London, I think it was their last London apartment, it turned out they had one apartment for filming and one above it for living in. Dan explains this in the Dan and Phil Finally Tell the Truth video over on his channel, that yeah, they had an apartment for filming, an apartment for living in. Some of the videos did get filmed in their living apartment, but for the most part, the filming apartment was there so then they could film stuff not in their bedrooms. And I was thinking about it. That's kind of genius, because if you think of your actual home, you have stuff in it that's like personal to you. And if they were in a relationship and keeping it secret, they probably had shared items like pictures of them together, or even of their families who they might not want to have on YouTube. And so to have a separate place for filming that looks like what you live in, it's pretty smart. But I do feel kind of sad that they felt like they had to keep up the pretense. Like Dan's talked before, actually I think in this video, about people who tried to figure out their floor plan, and they've had people figure out where they live before. And I'm all for parasocial relationships, love it. Obviously, I'm filming this video, but the intensity of their fans, it like has benefits and costs. Like I feel kind of sad for them that they felt like they had to keep up the illusion of filming in their bedrooms, and that was so closely tied to their brand. But on the other hand, it worked for them. It meant that they had this space that they could film in that wasn't where they lived. Like, no one really wants to go to sleep with cameras set up around their bed. It's just kind of weird, especially as they got older and like their lives together developed. So yeah, kind of smart, to be honest. And if you are one of those people who haven't checked in on Dan and Phil in a while, I'm happy to report that they still live together in a house that they bought, I'm not sure, but a house that they have together and own, which is so lovely. And this is a great spot for another segue. While we're talking about Brit YouTubers, I'm on a bit of a roll with the segues today. We finally know what happened to Martha. You know, Martha the dog, the sausage dog? Anyway, there was this like quite hyped YouTube series about Brit YouTubers. Where are they now? I'll link it in the comments in case you're interested. It is like pretty interesting, but I would say there isn't that much new information to find out, except maybe about Jack Harries. Anyway, one of the people that are interviewed in the docuseries is Jim Chapman. You might remember Jim Chapman was married to Tanya Burr, and together they had Martha the sausage dog. And because it was like 2015, of course, Martha was like kind of famous in her own right. Like everyone knew who she was. So when the two of them got divorced, where did the dog go? Where is the hound? Where is the hound? Everyone wanted to know, because neither of them like took her in the divorce. There were no pictures of her around. There were no updates. And Jim and Tanya over the years have always had comments saying, where is the hound? Where is Martha? Tell us where the dog is. To the point where it was rumored that Tanya had blocked words to do with Martha in her comments. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's really funny. But what blew my mind about this story was why they never told us what happened. Like, are you not sick enough of the comments that you want to just tell everyone what the deal is? And this continued in that little documentary thing where Jim was asked about Martha and he got super cagey about it. Like, for me, this clip made it so much more sus. It sounds like something horrible happened to this dog.
I've got to ask, because I've filmed with Martha before, and this is not a question everyone needs to know.
I don't know if I can... She's fine.
Martha's fine.
She's fine. Yeah, she is fine. But in a way, it's not my story to tell.
So this gave us no details and sounded really sus. So I was so pleased when Nicola, Jim's sister, and also like early days beauty YouTuber, finally made a video explaining what happened to Martha. I'm still weirded out that Jim or Tanya, well, less so Tanya because she does her own thing. I don't think she's interested, but it's still weird that Jim wasn't the one that made this video. But anyway, Nicola ends up explaining that post-divorce, Jim had Martha in his apartment and it didn't have enough backyard, and I think it had stairs. Martha had like back issues or wasn't very well and needed a lot of care. So not only did he not have the space for her, but him and Tanya were like struggling to provide Martha the care that she needed. So she ended up being rehomed with like some close family friends. So yeah, after 10 years, a pretty boring explanation of where Martha went. I'm really glad Nicola included a clip of Martha like running around and being happy, because I think saying they're on the farm sounds like she is no longer with us, which Nicola does mention in the video, which is kind of funny. But yeah, finally, we know where Martha is, and hopefully that means people are commenting a lot less on Tanya and Jim's posts. Anyway, that is the YouTube lore that would have sent me into a spiral 10 years ago. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Plus, let me know in the comments who you are unironically watching still 10 years later. I feel like we're getting so many lovely updates from these early unproblematic YouTubers, and it's just like really nice seeing them grown up and hear them talk unfiltered about what being a YouTuber was like in those early days. But for now, that is all from me. I'll see you next time.